Hey everybody, welcome. It is now the 10th episode of The Burly Nathan Show. I am your host and MC, Burly Nathan. We made it, folks. We did. 10 episodes in now of this weird, wacky, kind of off on tangents kind of show. I appreciate you listening and sharing and reposting and interacting with the show in the multiple ways that you have so far, whether it be just listening and leaving comments, or just being a staunch supporter, or even just being somebody who's been on the show. We've had some incredible guests so far, including the one that we have today, which I will tease here in a minute. But I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for patronizing my show and listening in and supporting me. It means a lot to me. I'm making some changes in my career and how I do things, and this podcast was one of them. And I appreciate so much the support that I've gotten from my friends, family, colleagues, and brand new listeners and followers that have joined up with me since I've started this crazy endeavor. So big thank you to you. And my thank you back to you, as always, is a pitch out to adamandeve.com. Are you looking to spice up your sex life? I mean, who doesn't, really, truthfully? I do. I love it. Adamandeve.com is a great place to go get all of the essential goodies that you need to spice up the bedroom. Head over to adamandeve.com and use promo code BURLY, B-U-R-L-Y, at checkout. Once again, that is B-U-R-L-Y, like the name of the show. Every time you use that code, we get a portion of the proceeds. You get 10 free gifts, free shipping, lots of awesome stuff. So adamandeve.com, spice up your sex life. I've used them for many, many years, and they're amazing. I bought gifts for friends. I bought gifts for enemies. I bought gifts for everybody using my code there. So go ahead, do that. Continue to support the show. And yeah, that's a great way you can do that. And also, once again, you can support the show by subscribing to it on any of the platforms that you happen to be listening, whether it be Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, all of those great platforms where our show streams every single week. Go there, follow us, subscribe, leave comments, leave reviews. It helps the algorithm push my little crazy show out there. Also, if you want to just be friends with me and follow me, you can do so on Instagram at Burly Nathan and on TikTok at Burly Nathan as well. We're going to talk about it a little bit later on in the episode. So the episode you're about to hear with the interview is with none other than my lovely wife, Taryn. And we recorded this a few days ago, earlier in the week. And we're going to talk about it during the show, towards the end of the show. But check out our TikTok and go look at the craziness that is happening there right now on my Burly Nathan TikTok. If you happen to be here listening to the podcast because of what has happened on TikTok, I appreciate you there. But anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore about it. We'll talk about it on the episode, but just head over to TikTok and see the insanity that's been happening over there these last few days and let me know what you think. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later on in the episode too, but we do have 10 more guests coming up for the next 10 episodes of The Burly Nathan Show, including the possibility of a large roundtable show with some of my favorite MCs locally. You heard me talking about it on the episode with Delicate Flower last, something that we're working on. So if you are looking for some fun, continue to subscribe to the show and be tuning in for all the craziness that will happen there. All right, so now it's time for the interview section of the show. I have been looking forward to this for a while, and it being episode 10, I could think of no other better person to bring in for the 10th episode of my crazy podcast than my very own wife, life partner, person I'm going to be with forever. Hey, Taryn.
You sure about that last part?
I am absolutely... I mean, after tonight, anything is possible. All right.
You could think of no one better? No one.
I mean,
in the entire world.
I might be saying that just to flatter you. I don't know, I guess. So, welcome.
I feel like you've made a career out of that. That's why we're still together after almost 15 years.
Yes, and could you not speak so close to the mic and blow it out?
I told you this is what I was going to do.
So, okay.
I warned you.
So, to give you guys a little bit of context, Taryn and I are a little bit loopy. We've had a couple glasses of wine.
Little?
Yes, we've had a couple glasses of wine.
And he thought it'd be a brilliant idea to do this now.
Well, because I wanted people to be able to hear the authentic, fun version of you.
Babe, you think people don't already?
No, I'm sure they do.
I talk like this around you all the time.
I know, and because that's why people think when we're talking together, we're fighting. People probably listening to the podcast right now going, are these two having a domestic quarrel?
We playfully bicker.
We playfully bicker.
That's
all
how
right.
I like to describe it.
So I'm going to give an actual real introduction of you now so people know what's going on. So Taryn is here with me, obviously. She and I we were friends for 5 or 6 years before 4 years in high school,
I'll be
before
here
we
to
got
correct
together.
all of his mistakes.
Yes, you guys will be able to see exactly how our dynamic works with this episode.
Every
Strap
time
in.
he's exaggerating something, I'll swoop in with the truth.
Thank you. So we met in high school, and we became really close friends because we were both in the theater department there, and we sang together a bunch, and we became really close friends, fast friends, truthfully. I remember we became friends very quickly, and it was like we knew.
Well, you were very non-threatening because we all thought you were gay.
Well, yeah, that is helpful.
So...
And most of my friends were women, you definitely being included in that, you being one of my top women in high school that I
feel
was
like you
brother
were
zoned by.
Mostly friends with women. I mean, you had a small group of guy friends in high school at least, but like nowadays,
Yeah.
name one.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
The point being, you have a lot of female friends.
Yes.
And you always have.
Absolutely. And I think that, like, when you and I became friends, you were we're going to get into this a little bit more because I want to talk and I want people to know about your experience with your religion growing up. Because when we first met, you were Jehovah's Witness.
Loosely. I technically wasn't even in Bible study anymore. I had stopped doing that after 8th grade.
Right.
So it was posthumous at that point.
But you were still within the, familial requirements that you had with your mom.
Not really. I was doing my best to stick it out for her because I was the only one left.
Right. And I got
it was me. I don't think, well, I take it back. She did make Zach. My two brothers, Alex and Zach, Alex being less than 2 years younger than me, so we pretty much grew up together, and Zachary is 11 and a half years younger than me, so he's the baby of the family.
Right.
Alex and I were brought up in Kingdom Hall, basically, and Zach kind of got the tail end of it, but she gave up on it by the time he was a teenager.
Right.
But Alex and I experienced it all the way through high school.
Well, I knew you, loosely. I also knew you in middle school. And I remember, because we went to
I knew of you,
yeah.
but I didn't know you.
Taryn and I were only 1 year apart, and we both went to the same middle and high school. And when I met you, we were in a school chorus together. And you, during the holidays, you couldn't participate in any of the holiday songs that we would do in our chorus class.
Yep.
And so you were just the page turner for the piano.
Page turner, baby.
And I knew at that point, I'm like, man, this girl's a really good singer. And I remember going up to you because we would our origin story.
That's how you knew, watching me turn those pages.
Well, I'm like, she must be really good.
She's a mean page turner.
She's a mean page turner. That must mean that she can sing.
Those pages?
She must know how to sing. So and so I remember it was my sophomore year of high school, right? Or was it my freshman year?
Your freshman, my sophomore.
And I was like, hey, we should sing together. No. It was my sophomore year, your junior, because that's when
I thought you were talking about when we met.
Oh yeah, no, we met my freshman year.
When we decided to do district.
Yes, we did district competition together my sophomore year, your junior year.
Yep.
And because we decided to do the Sioux School piece, and that's when we started working together.
Which was called
Notice Me Horton, and that was it was our claim to fame. It was our very first.
I was obsessed with that show at the time, and I just really wanted to do that song.
I think everybody in high school at some point, if they were
obsessed,
were obsessed with Sioux School.
And then I also did Amazing Maisie.
You did
with Bobby Fratto.
Yep, a lot of our friends.
Now Bobby Dell.
Yep. So so we thought, okay, let's sing together. Let's compete, and we competed and we did pretty well. And I remember I'm like, all right, you're going to be my duet partner now. So we did duets all throughout high school at different shows. And then your senior year,
my demanded that I be your duet partner.
Yeah,
you're like, you are my duet partner now.
Yes, you are.
That's not how it happened, guys.
You are the person.
He was very sheepish about it, and
he's
like, "Would you be interested in maybe doing another duet with me?"
And I was like,
"It was not a you're gonna be my duet partner
no.
now.
Deal
with it."
You were very, and at that time we were obviously just close friends, and by that point I was probably brother zoned by then.
By when?
By like my junior year, your senior year. That's when I was firmly in the brother zone, I think.
Well. You say that as if it was ever a thought in my mind that you wouldn't be.
Really?
No, I didn't come into that friendship with a would I, wouldn't I. No, right. You were immediately in the friend zone.
Yeah. Lucky
as
me.
were plenty of other dudes,
and
to be fair.
Now, was some of that because you just didn't want to date men, or was that because of the religious upbringing?
I don't know. It wasn't a huge thing on my mind at the time. For the longest time, I thought I was asexual.
Really?
Yeah. All through middle school, I was like, I should feel like I should be feeling things. And a lot of other people are feeling things, and I'm not. So maybe I'm asexual.
Now, was that, and now we're going to get into your coming out story and whatnot a little bit later on, but do you think that maybe closeted potential homosexuality was in as a part of that too?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the biggest factors in that were the repressed sexuality and religious upbringing. Just
Really?
being told that, like, well, and because I was brought up to believe that academics was going to be like my ticket to success. So I was just hyper focused on being a good student and not really worrying about anything else.
I remember you and I being in the school auditorium together and me trying to distract you with just fun jokes. And you're like, I got to work on Spanish homework. Please leave me the fuck alone. I remember that. And
I'll take your word for it.
There's a story before once I now leave our high school days. I remember this very vividly for some reason. You were working on Spanish homework and I was in the school auditorium with you and I was like laying down on the ground next to you and I was mispronouncing every Spanish word and then you were telling me exactly how it was supposed to be said. Mm-hmm. If that's not a testament to how we do things now, I don't.
Not that far off from our relationship now, honestly.
I'm gonna say something dumb, and you're gonna be like, "Actually, you gotta say it like this." So anyway, we were in high school.
I think I would just razz you about it more.
For sure.
Than I would have back then.
Now you're comfortable with the razzing.
Oh, 100%.
Who wouldn't be? All right. So you graduated a year before me. It took me another year to graduate. I was dating a girl at the time when I graduated.
It took you?
It took me.
You just happened to be born a year and a half after me. You made it sound like you were a struggling student.
I was being held back.
It took me an extra year because, I'm a little slow. You're younger than me.
That is true.
Which you love to throw in my face.
I did get a 1300 on my SATs, so
you got a better score than I did. I remember that.
Which is insane because I'm an absolute dumbass. So anyway, you graduated. It took me another year to get there, and then I graduated, and then I was working on a musical at a local theater company, and I knew it was a show that you liked, so I asked you to come audition for it, with absolutely no intentions at all whatsoever, as we know, to pursue a relationship with you because we became close during that summer. We started hanging out more.
You really played the long game.
I did.
That was the longest game I've ever seen.
And I don't think, even though I had an immense crush on you throughout all of high school, I don't think I ever tried to make a move or did anything inappropriate.
Not to my recollection, no, which is why I felt very safe around you.
Well, little did you know, I was wanting to.
I think I
was being respectful.
You did it, yes, and I think that was a good thing for me to see early on.
That it was capable.
That you were always going to be respectful of boundaries.
Because at that time I was like, I would rather be her friend than nothing at all. Mm-hmm. Which,
I think I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I think I literally was like, I'd rather be your friend than not be and let something ruin it. So I'm glad that we did that. So then
Hey, it worked out.
It worked out.
So apparently you played the right game.
And then we did a musical together. We did Jason Robert Brown's The Last 5 Years in summer of 2009. I'm not going to say it.
2009, baby.
Oh boy. And we did that together. And then, one thing led to another. And now almost 15 years later, here we are.
One thing led to another.
One thing led to another. We're in the home we own in the office that I work in with you. And it's great. And I'm glad that was the arc that we took. Now, we've obviously done quite a few things and we've had our ups and downs, and I wanted to talk a little bit more today about you because people who are familiar with me
snooze.
Yeah. No. People who are
she's boring. That's all you need to know.
Right. People who are familiar with me, obviously I'm pretty transparent online. People know who I am. They see me in shows and whatnot. But you're an active presence online too. Yeah. I can't say I'm a very active presence. But when you are, you're hilarious. So I'll tell you guys something kind of funny. So before this airing today, Taryn and I, every once in a while, we don't do this all the time, but every once in a while we will be persuaded by the internet gods to participate in a trend of some sort online, because there's only so many that we actually will do. You and I have only done like 2 or 3 of them over the years.
Just the ones that look fun.
And so the one that we saw that looked super fun was the Paint Your Partner Challenge, where you like get kind of like wine drunk, which is exactly what we did, and then grab some canvases and some paint and just paint each other. And we just did that tonight, and
The results were insane.
If you follow me on TikTok
Clinically insane.
at Burley Nathan, you can see the travesty that happened on my end. Yours was actually pretty solid, with the exception of my pupils are looking two different directions, but that's okay.
No, someone said something like you are like your Simpsons character, and with the skin color, that makes perfect
Yes,
sense.
you made me literally yellow. So
I didn't mean to.
I think the skin color that I chose for you was closer to your actual skin color than what you chose for me.
I suppose.
But anyway, so we do that sort of stuff. I'm not quite sure where I was trying to go with that, but
that's a great question. Where were you going with that?
We do online trends. We every once in a while would like to just jump out there and do something goofy, but we've had a relationship that's been built on like razzing each other. And as you guys have listened now for the first
playful bickering.
This is for the first 12 minutes of this episode. You've basically probably come down to that conclusion that we are that playful bickering kind of couple. And what I find really funny is people who don't know us and maybe were thinking that in the first 4 minutes.
Our marriage is dysfunctional.
Well, I mean, it is in certain ways. I mean, there's been multiple episodes already of this show where we've talked about other parts of our marriage, which we will actually discuss as well tonight.
But that's not us being dysfunctional. That's those choices being dysfunctional.
Yeah, true.
That's different.
But when it comes to us, we're two millennial people who did not have children, did not go to college, do not have...
Well, didn't finish.
Didn't finish. You went to college
we both went to college. We just didn't finish.
Correct.
How sad.
Yeah.
Ladies, you know what that's like.
Okay.
Sorry, I just watched Marvelous Mrs. Maisel again for the third time, and I'm feeling my inner midge. So
you're feeling your inner midge.
Yeah.
I wish you wouldn't do that.
For those of you who know that show, you get it. You're the real ones.
Yeah. Those of you who watched it 3 times, like my lovely wife here.
I love it so much. I can't get enough of it.
It is a very good show. So also you guys are going to see how Taryn and I talk. We talk in streams of consciousness that go from one topic to another.
Like most other human beings.
You brought up Marvelous Miss Maisel, and I know that you have been considering, I know this is a weird transition, but you've been considering trying out roller derby. I know we've talked about you doing that. And one of my coworkers... Kickball and roller derby. You talked about possibly looking at roller derby.
Not really. I'd be more likely to join a kickball team.
Sure. Well, funny enough, my coworker at my day job today was looking at funny names of roller derby people that are actually in this area. And one of them is the Murderous Miss Maisel is the name of that roller derby person. And I told him, like, yeah, Taryn would be...
Another fan. I like it.
Yeah, I'm like, Taryn would be... Billy Brazen for sure. That's your...
No.
Or you want to be Bruisin'...
my handle.
Bruisin' B.
Anthony.
Jesus
Come on.
Christ. So, but
that's a perfect roller derby name.
That is true. And see, that's also a testament to our relationship that we like to try different and weird things. I mean, for the longest time in our relationship so far, I have been that guy that's been like, okay, I've got this crazy idea. Hello, podcast. Hello, radio shows. Hello.
You just don't like to sit still or not be doing anything.
Well, now
you need to always be busy or occupying your time with something.
With this podcast, though, at least I don't have to leave the house. And I can do it with you, and I can do it with my friends. And
I don't begrudge you for it.
Yeah, but it's the other stuff. So now...
I like that you're ambitious and like to fill your time with things and are more social than me. That's some of the things that are opposites in us that I am attracted to.
Right. And so, like, I try my best now these days to kind of get out of that seat, right? And, like, to let you go, and, well, not let you, but give you the opportunity to do things that you want to do.
Give yourself a break.
Oh, yeah,
more
for sure.
Like it.
Because these days, and people heard on the last episode of the show, or one of the last episodes of the show, about the closing of ND Theatricals.
Your departure.
And which, I talked about on the last episode with Delicate Flower about why I decided to do it and reasons for that. And it's just because, like, we've discussed it. We want to try different things in our lives. We want to go different places. We want to do different things. Because you and I are the kinds of people that don't like to be docile for too long. We like to do things. We like to go and travel. We just did an RV trip last October where we visited a bunch of different cities in an RV, something we always wanted to do.
Can I tell you something, though?
Yeah.
Can I confess something real quick?
Oh, boy.
Nothing crazy.
Sure.
I used to be the type of person who can be docile for months at a time and be perfectly happy and content doing, like, little to nothing. I will say what changed about that for me was you.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because was it baptism by fire because of all the stuff that I was making you do? Well, not making you, but
weren't making me do things, but like you would get excited about things, and you like to get up and go places, and you don't like to stay home for too long. Remember, I'm like the cereal saver. I'm the person who would, if no one was encouraging me to spend my money, I wouldn't. I would just be a hoarder.
Well, don't worry,
But
I'll
I
spend it
wouldn't
for the both of
go
us.
do anything fun
Right.
with it because, I don't know, I'm always living in panic mode. Like, what if I spend this on something and then I end up needing it for something important? I have you to kind of push me out of that and out of my cereal saver mode and go, you know what, you got to live a little too. Go spend some of it on doing something fun.
You keep saying cereal saver, and all I'm thinking of is some
that's
bandit.
what I am.
That's why I just keep thinking of some bandit with like a pocket full of Lucky Charms. I'm the
That's
cereal
me.
saver. That's you. Yeah, you are the
That's
bandit
me,
full of.
But basically the point being that the only reason that I am the way I am now and that I value doing things and spending money and traveling more and doing more activities is because of you. That part of your personality has infused in me to the point where now if I were to try to go back to docile living, it would irritate me.
Yeah, which is actually kind of funny because at this point in our lives, you and I are we're pulling the last 5 years and we're crossing paths where these days more I'm wanting to be.
We are not pulling the last 5 years because for those of you who know how that musical ends,
yeah, they divorce in the end.
That's not where this is going.
No.
So I think that was a bad
Okay. We're doing
thing to compare it to.
Okay,
Try
so
again.
we're just doing we're crossing paths in general about the fact that like these days I'm the guy who's like, you know what, I'm gonna stay home tonight, tomorrow, the next day because I just don't want to go do anything. And maybe it's because of the burnout that I've been going through recently. But at the same time, like, I'm more likely to go out with a friend and go see a show rather than go work on a show. And I think, like, I just need to find that healthy balance between working all the time and enjoying my time. Because, I mean, if you're going to work forever, what if you die right in the middle of a project? Like, what else have you done?
I will say, and this is a trend that I've noticed in our marriage, is that the longer we're together, the more our personalities start to sort of diverge and more like come together and become a little more similar, because I am noticing that you are sort of slowing down a bit and enjoying, your free time and time spent with friends as opposed to working on projects and things like that. Whereas I find myself enjoying like going out with friends and stuff more.
Yeah.
Whereas I used to want to stay home and just be by myself and spend a lot of time alone. I want to be out with people more and I want to be more social. And I think, again, that's a direct result of my marriage to you, if I'm being honest.
No, I mean, that's what we're trying to do here, is be as honest as we possibly can with how we do things.
Ask anybody who's known me for longer than a decade how many friends I used to have.
Yeah.
In high school. It's not a lot.
And I was one of them.
It's not a lot, guys.
I was one of them. And I remember those days of you being, well, even after you graduated, I didn't hear from you very much because you were very much
because I was a fucking
studying.
recluse.
Well, you were recluse because you were trying to be this all-star student, because maybe people don't know this, but every single year of high school and middle school, correct me if I'm wrong, you were a straight A student.
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
you had straight A's.
I was one of only 5 students in my graduating class who had all straight A's.
Well, look
all 4 years.
Look what that did for us.
Yeah, like it did a fucking thing.
It didn't. And
it did not. But I was led to believe that was going to help propel me to a good college, to a good career, et cetera, et cetera. So,
yeah.
And I believed it at the time. So that's how the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Thank you, Bruce Almighty.
You're welcome.
So
we just watched it.
And we just did. So it's fresh. Okay, so here's what I want to do, because this 10-minute tangent we just took was basically my introduction to saying people need to learn more about you, because people do know about me, and I think they do, because
people need to be more exposed to me.
They need to be exposed.
That's the thing, is I have a hard time with that.
Yeah, and maybe this podcast will help the people.
I don't like letting people in.
I know, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Avoid it all. Let them in.
Yeah, you should not let them in. No, what I'm thinking is, if we have friends and acquaintances and people that work with us that maybe want to be your friend, that maybe just haven't taken that plunge yet because they're like, ooh, Taryn's a little scary.
The thing, I get it. I'm an acquired taste, babe. I'm all right. I don't need everybody to like me.
And that's okay. And they don't have to. But so here's what I want to do. I want to ask you some questions that, I mean, I already know the answers to, so I'm going to pretend like I don't, because I know just about everything about you.
Good.
But no, but I want to ask some questions about the you. And the first thing that I want to ask is actually a question that I've asked multiple people on this show before, is, and you don't necessarily have to go for the easy answer for this. What is
I don't even know what that means.
What is the common misconception that people have about you that you would like to clear up or make clear to the people who maybe are our friends or whatever? What's a common misconception that people might have of you that is totally wrong?
I don't know if this is a misconception necessarily, but how do I word this? I feel like because I have a tough exterior, or what appears to be a tough exterior, people assume that I don't get hurt when people say mean things or do mean things or ignore me or choose not to acknowledge my existence. People think, well, she's tough, so she doesn't really care.
So she can handle it, right?
Yeah, she can handle me being a little rougher with her, or you know, like disrespecting me in various ways. I feel like people don't consider, when you're tough on the outside, people don't consider the fact that you still are a human being and you still feel things and you still get offended or upset.
So you would want people to know that, obviously, that fact, right? That you still have that gooey interior.
I still, right, I don't need you to be my best friend, but I still expect you to treat me with respect and dignity. And yeah, don't believe otherwise just because I happen to be rough around the edges.
Okay.
I still feel just like everybody else, and I still cry like everybody else.
All right, so the misconception was, does Taryn cry? The answer, yes, she sure does.
A lot more than you'd think.
Yeah, I mean, and we're not going to drag the show down, but I will tell you, some of you listening have caused it. No, I'm kidding. But no. Okay,
Shout out.
And that's okay. So why do you think that you have that rough, tough exterior? Is it your upbringing? Is it
1,000%? If any of you have ever dealt with the Holzhauer family, they are a bunch of choke it down, sweep it under the rug, pretend it doesn't exist, act now, cry about it later, or if you even cry at all. They're not. My grandmother on my dad's side is one of the most stoic women I've ever met in my life. I was in the room, not to get too deep, I was in the room when my grandfather died. I think I saw her shed one tear. Yeah. Most people would be in absolute shambles. She kept her head up. She told stories. She just kept talking through the whole thing. She wouldn't let herself get emotional. That is the Holzhauers in a nutshell. So if I look like I'm stoic or unemotional, it's because I've been taught my entire life to choke it down.
No, that makes sense. Do you think that being with somebody like me who's super sensitive and kind of like a family that talks every day, do you think that changed you a little bit to be kind of a midway point now? No, because I think I'm still as tough and stoic looking as I've always been. But what has changed is my appreciation for people like yourself and your family who are more sensitive, who are more willing to talk about feelings. Okay.
I think that, again, one of the reasons I was drawn to you. Yeah, you can be a little dramatic at times. You are quite the drama queen. But you wear your heart on your sleeve. And you are extremely authentic when it comes to your emotions, you're extremely authentic. And I admire that quality in you because it's the opposite of what I dealt with growing up. So yeah, it's one of the things I like most about you.
Where my family, on my dad's side of the family and my stepmom, my dad, they're a bit more kind of similar to the Holzhauers, where they're not necessarily super stoic about everything, but they are kind of not
to the point that my family is.
No, but my mother, however, was very much, you knew what her emotions were at any point in time. Rest in peace. You knew what her emotions were.
And that's where you get your flair for the dramatic from. Yes. Your mother, 1,000%.
I will say the reason why I'm in entertainment and why I'm in show business is 110,000% because of my mom. and the way that I was brought up to be this entertainer. I was the entertaining kid. My mom worked in a hair salon and for most of my childhood, and I remember I would hang out there very Steel Magnolias, like with all the hairdressers. I would be there like literally. I wished I could find photos, because there's photos and videos of me sitting under the hairdryer singing like Take Me Out to the Ball Game and shit for the old ladies who were there. And I was an entertainer from that moment, and it taught me I mean, honestly, that's where people think that my how do you say, my flamboyance comes from, my many years of hanging out with, yes, it was just me and a bunch of flamingos at the hair salon, just discussing life and me, like. And the thing is with my parents and my mom, like, they never talked to me like I was a full kid, if that makes any sense. I was exposed to adult style conversations from a very young age, so like that's where I think I became more like self-aware of like comedy and self-deprecation, because that's what they would do there too. Like, they would make fun of themselves, they would tell jokes, they would make fun of the other people that came through. Like, I was always exposed to the speak your emotions, speak your mind, be goofy, have fun. And I think that's kind of where you and I met, where you were more of the stoic kind of hold it in kind of person, and then we took on what we said over the years. We took on the traits of each other that are the good, and we've also taken on some not so good ones too. And
I mean, I feel like I express my emotions a little bit more freely, knowing that I have a partner who supports me if that's something I need to do.
Right, and you know that.
I think part of it was my family never made you feel safe when you did that, which is why you didn't do it around my family.
Sure.
But I can do it around people who make me feel safe.
Right.
And you do, so
yeah.
You see literally everything. And all the things that no one else sees. And
yeah, now you guys are hearing all about those fun things. So, okay, so you mentioned, obviously,
if it's even interesting to you at all.
Right. So
chances are it is not.
The fun thing you mentioned, actually, which is going to kind of segue me into the next conversation that I want to have, is you said that coming to me you feel comfortable with talking and speaking your mind and being truthful, which leads me to...
I fucking hope so, because, you're my husband. So
yeah, right? Yeah,
if I don't, there's a problem.
There's a giant problem. No, what I'm saying is, when you came to me back in, 2015, to tell me about your life, and we can talk about that if you'd like.
Sure. Are you talking about my coming out?
Yes. So when we got together in 2009, people can probably deduce from the way that I talked about it earlier, is I was your very first boyfriend. I was your very first relationship.
You were my first everything, with the exception of kiss. I kissed somebody else first, but you were first everything else.
That's fine. I'm happy to be the first everything else. We'll let people read between the lines there. But when we got together, like I said, I was the only guy and the only person you had ever been with. So we fast forward to, it was 2015, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And
when we had the conversation at Denny's.
Yeah. Yes. And so if you want to bring people into that.
So how, like, it happened?
Yep. The leading up to it and the thoughts that you had for it.
It just occurred to me that, like, you were going to be the person I wanted to be with for the rest of my life. But at the same time, because I was so academically focused in high school, I guess around age 25 is when it hit me, like, yo, you wasted all that time that you could have spent exploring yourself, exploring your sexuality, exploring what you like sexually with other men, with women. You could have been doing all of it, and you wasted time being a good fucking student instead. Which seemed important at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not, but obviously it didn't bear as much fruit as I was hoping. So a part of me was like, I really love this man and I respect him and I want to be with him forever, but I feel like I'm missing out on a huge life experience.
Right.
And missing out on an opportunity to explore my own sexuality, because I had been so repressed in high school. There was no way I was going to open up at that point. But then I'm like in my mid-20s, I'm like, I think I'm ready to do that now. But shit, I'm in a committed monogamous relationship with the love of my life, and I don't want to fuck that up either. So what do I do?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I don't want to, be dishonorable about it and just start doing whatever I want and hope you don't find out. I love you and I respect you and I want you to know how I feel. And maybe, just maybe, because you're a very understanding, loving human being, that when you hear what I have to say and how I'm feeling, that you'll be like, you know what? Okay, let's try it. Let's see what happens. I trust you. You trust me. Let's see what we can make happen so that you can get this experience that you feel like you need.
Right.
And that's essentially how you responded. That was your response.
Yeah.
Was, I understand where you're coming from, and I want you to have those things, and fuck it, let's give it a shot. And if we hate it, we don't have to do it anymore.
So now fast forward 10 years, and we have been doing it, and on and off. I mean, we've
been doing it now since 2015, so that makes it
almost 10 years. Yeah. It'll be 10 years in probably March.
At least 9.
Yeah. And we've learned a lot of things. We've learned what to do. We've learned what not to do. And we're still learning, truthfully, because like we embrace the open and poly lifestyle and we act upon it sometimes. Right now, obviously, as people know, if they listen to the episode where I had Debbie Diablo on, they obviously know that she and I are in a relationship together. You are very well aware of it. You know everything that's going on. You're
sure do.
You know exactly everything. And you are experimenting with doing more of that now too, because I know you took some time off.
I took a sabbatical.
You took a sabbatical from
so
it,
to speak,
due to some. We're not going to get into those conversations on this
the
episode.
Short version, my last poly relationship ended kind of sort of poorly. Not terrible, but not great. And I just needed time to heal from that.
Yeah, which is totally
and reassess, see
Right.
what I thought went wrong, maybe figure some things out about myself that I was maybe indulging in that was making it worse. Like, I just needed time to figure out what went wrong and whether or not I even wanted to pursue it again.
Yeah, and it took you some time.
Yeah, it took me, I don't know how many, like 2 years?
Yeah,
just about 2 years.
And did because I know obviously, and I personally know the reasons why you didn't pursue it again, more than just I don't want to do this. Was there any catalyst recently that encouraged you to start again?
Not really.
Just feeling better about yourself in general, that you're like, I'm ready to get back out there again?
Honestly, well, I've been doing some independent research on my own issues, I guess you could say, and like attachment styles and things like that. And I think in the process of researching that and coming to understand that there are maybe some things about my personality I didn't fully comprehend before, and now I have terms to use and I have coping mechanisms to help me out, and even just having a name to certain things makes it easier to handle. So that's pretty much what I did. I started doing some personal research on what I thought my problems were, and as things started clicking and making sense, I was like, oh, well, now I have a method of working on this and getting better at this. Okay. Now I feel more well equipped to go into this venture than I did before.
Okay. Nice. And I'm glad that you embraced that, because now you're talking to some people and you're going out on dates again, which is really cool.
And I'm having great experiences.
Good.
And so far, none of the issues I had before. Like, nothing has crept back up, which is very nice.
Do you think a part of it is because you are kind of stripping away what you conceived as expectations in the first few relationships?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, expectations are a fucking relationship killer. Yeah. Murderer.
Now, however, when you do get into certain types of relationships, there are certain expectations that are okay to have. I think when you are in let's just say a committed poly relationship with somebody, if you say, hey, I want to talk to you every day and that's what I need to feel connected to you, like those kinds of expectations I think are okay if everybody agrees on them, but they're not super like ridiculous demands of somebody's time. Like, I have to see you 3 times a week or I don't feel fulfilled, or I have to see you, whatever so much. And it just becomes impossible to do, especially if you have, like, example, what Debbie and I have is we have distance. So like we have a healthy 2-hour distance between us, so we don't get to see each other every single week. So we knew, okay, that's not an expectation we're able to have. But if you have local partners, even, it's like you shouldn't even have those sorts of expectations either, because it creates unhealthy possibilities.
See, that's where a lot of the problem came from, is I did set those expectations because those partners were local enough that they could have been met, but I should have never asked for that in the first place.
Right. What do you think? Maybe you needed too much or more than what was actually necessary?
I thought I needed more than I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get you. So now you're trying it in a different way, and I've obviously been watching how you've been doing that with other folks, and it's been great. And I hope the best. I know you went on a date last night, and that went pretty well from what you told me. So that's great.
It's going really well.
And you're going out on another one this weekend. So like it's I'm happy to see you doing that. And it's interesting because there have been times when like I've been active and you haven't, and then you've been active and I haven't. Now it's actually interesting because both of us are at the same time. So now we can finally like, and I know sometimes it's hard when one of us has another partner and the other one doesn't.
We can finally like what? Finish that sentence.
We can finally not be like sad or lonely when the other person is with somebody else. And I know that's happened with me in the past. I know it's happened with you.
Here's the thing, though, and this is the other reason why I felt like I was better equipped to go back into it this time than in previous attempts, is because I've sort of reconnected with my alone time.
Right.
I got, for lack of a better term, too codependent for a while on you in particular. And I was making, the classic mistake of relying on other people for my own happiness, for my own source of happiness and fulfillment.
Ew, gross. Who does that?
And I know, idiots, right? So I was an idiot for a good long while and needed to reconnect and reestablish my love for being alone by myself. Because I used to fucking love it in high school. I was such a loner, but I loved it.
I remember asking, hey, Taryn, can you hang out? And you're like, I'm busy. And I'm like, what? You're like listening to rockapella?
Yeah, I'm busy lying on the floor of my bedroom listening to my CDs alone.
And you weren't even drunk or high. You just
No, I was just fucking weird.
You were just
One of my favorite places to hang out as a teenager was a cemetery. But
Yes.
not with friends, being a delinquent, knocking over tombstones. I would go to the mausoleum and sing
Yes, you
to
would.
dead people. And I got caught by the groundskeeper one time and scared the shit out of me.
I remember one time you went and walked around and you sent me a photo of my grandmother's grave. And I'm like, that's a little creepy.
I loved going to the cemetery by myself.
And you still
And
could?
then my 20s happened, you happened, and all of a sudden I'm this codependent asshole who can't be alone anymore. And it's not cute, guys.
Well,
it's not cute at all.
Now, at the same time, like for some people, the monogamous codependent life is the way to go. And we have friends that I've seen have mostly successful monogamous marriages and relationships. And when I say sometimes it's because people got them urges.
Oh no, it's not monogamy that's the problem. It's people thinking that you have to be monogamous, that monogamy is the default.
Right. And
it's people not choosing the right path for themselves just because they're afraid of backlash.
Yeah, right.
That's the problem.
Well, that was my whole worry with, discussing things with my dad recently and not that I thought that my dad was going to necessarily be like, I hate you, whatever. But like, it was tough to tell a very staunchly monogamous man who's been in a marriage for almost 30 years that his son is not. And my dad was like, you know what? He actually asked me, and I told you this, why was that not enough? And I'm like, here's the thing. It was never that Taryn was not enough. It's just in this life, I have determined that I can have more than one type of loving relationship. Now, will another loving relationship be as strong as what I have with you? Well, I've been with you for 15 fucking years. So somebody else who comes in...
I can already tell you, like, there's no fucking way. At least for me. I'm not speaking for you, but for me, there's no one will ever come close.
Right. And like, I have one of these situations where, and I saw a meme. This is actually where I want to leave this conversation so we can move on to other stuff. So it's not just the poly people episode.
Yeah, we'll get off our pedestal here in a second.
The one thing that I'll say is like, and I saw this meme, when it comes to being poly, it's not that you're taking 100% of your heart and dividing it up 50-50, right? If you have multiple partners.
Or into fractions.
Yeah, into fractions. You're going to be horcruxing out your fucking heart. That's not how you do this. You can give what you consider your 100% to the partners that you want. And so I have my level of 100% with you, my level of 100% with Debbie. So like I have that in mind, and I understand, and we can fulfill each other with what we need and what we need to feel loved. And
one of my favorite things about it, though, too, is that like you're exposed to different types of people with different interests, with different, levels of insight into different topics. So it's fun getting to explore different sides of yourself, of your fandoms, of your geekiness, of whatever it happens to be, that maybe you can't necessarily express with your partner.
Yeah.
Or in this case, I can't express with you because we don't that particular thing is not a part of our relationship. It
Right.
probably never will be.
Yeah, because there's like certain things that I share with her that I probably wouldn't share with you, and then vice versa. There's certain jokes that I have with you that she wouldn't probably
But does that
appreciate.
make sense?
Yeah, no.
Like, I'm sure you and Debbie have like a common interest that maybe I wouldn't give two shits about. But
Sure.
you get to share that particular interest with one another because it's something you two share.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? It just
Absolutely.
makes the experience of it very unique from person to person.
Agreed. All right. So this is, I think, a good place for us to stop on this. We'll probably have other episodes. Actually, we're going to have an episode with me, you, and Debbie, so we can talk about kind of how that whole dynamic works and all of that, and we'll do that later on down the line. But now I want to get into some other types of questions that I have for you, and obviously because I know everything about you, I know the right ones to ask. You and I are huge fans of stand-up comedy. And I know that's something that you and I have bonded on since literally day one, listening to stand-up comedy CDs in your 99 Buick. I remember us driving.
We both grew up watching like Comedy Central Presents.
Yeah, and Premium
Last
Roast and all
Comic
those.
Standing.
Yep.
And yeah, all the roasts. My goodness. So
And
many.
so we bonded on that, and I want you to tell me, who are your top 5 favorite comedians,
How
starting
could you do this to me?
starting with number 1. Who is your all-time favorite comedian?
I could not tell you.
You're just like
Here's
me.
the
You hate
first-
picking favorites.
First of all, I'm a Pisces. I'm dictated by my mood at all times. So my favorite is gonna shift.
Yeah, same with
That's
me.
just the nature of who I am.
Yeah, I can't cling to one favorite
But
thing.
I have current favorites.
All right, so just rattle off a few of your current favorite
Some
comedians.
of my current favorites are Sebastian Maniscalco. He's always up there.
He's one of our
He's
OGs.
always in my top 5.
Sebastian Maniscalco. I remember when you and I would go see him at Side Splitters Comedy Club in Tampa, when you could get tickets
When
to
he
see
wasn't
his
even
show.
a special event yet.
No,
And now look at him.
now look at him.
Sebastian, if you're listening, I'm so proud of you. You deserve the career that you have right now. I'm insanely proud of you. And fuck the haters. Haters gonna hate.
Yes.
You're an amazing comedian,
Yeah.
and we love you very much.
Yeah, we used to pay $5.
You're
to see
never
that
gonna
man.
hear this, but I just wanted to put it out there.
So Sebastian Maniscalco. Who else you got?
Tom Segura.
Tom Segura. Oh
He's
yes.
one of my favorites right now.
We've seen him live, and his wife Christina Pazitsky.
Taylor Tomlinson.
Yes,
I'm
we're
a
gonna be
big
seeing
fan
her.
of her stuff. Her humor speaks to me. I think we're also similar in age, so that would make a lot of sense.
Right. By the way, real quick on that note, doesn't it seem weird now that we are starting to be the same age as celebrities that we like?
Not really.
Yeah.
Speaking of, another one that's one of my favorites, Bo Burnham.
Bo Burnham. Yep.
Born the same year as me.
Nice.
But again, makes sense because his humor speaks to my life experience. We lived in the same exact period of time in the U.S., so
True.
makes sense. But he's so fucking brilliant. Also, Bo, are you okay? We all just want to know if you're okay.
He's probably not listening. All right. So
Again, Bo, if you ever hear this, I just want you to know I really want you to be okay because you're too talented and too hilarious to make some foolish decisions. And I guess for my 5th, I have to go with, because I've been watching his stuff nonstop over and over again, Mike Birbiglia.
Mike Birbiglia.
And we got to see him live.
On Broadway.
His latest Netflix special,
The Old Man,
in the Pool. We got to see that live.
on fucking Broadway.
So
Lincoln Center.
fucking good.
So good. And so, okay, so let's move on from, because we've seen like a ton of comedy. Our comedy body count is probably in like the 70s, 80s now.
Body count, damn.
Yes. We've seen
you mean
a
of
ton.
the amount of comedians we've seen live?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
We've seen so fucking many.
A
And
lot.
we
Well,
still
and
plan to.
Quite a few multiple times. John Reap, how many times have we seen John Reap?
5 times. And actually funny, I jumped onto one of
I think
his,
it's more than that. I think
Really?
we're at like 7.
would not be surprised. I actually jumped on one of his TikTok lives recently and was like, my wife and I have seen you in Tampa 7 times.
Like
and he's like, I'm
7
pretty sure I remember
times.
you. So, okay. So we talked about that. We're actually going to be seeing Taylor Tomlinson in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
A couple Fridays from now here
Yeah.
in the area. We
Super excited about
the tickets for Bert sold out immediately. We weren't quick enough. When Bert Kreischer, when he's going to be here in town, we love the Kreischers, we love the Seguras, the Pazitskis, all of them. Maybe one day we'll be on your
We
mama's
were
house.
one of the victims of COVID shutdown where Bert was coming to town, and Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, we
So sad that we missed him. and that's when COVID hit and everything got canceled.
That was a hard one.
And we never got another chance to see Patton.
So those are your top 5 favorite comedians.
Right now.
Right now. For the time being.
Right now.
Obviously, you and I are big fans of Broadway and musical theater. And something we haven't really talked about on the show is you are a performer. You are one of my favorite performers on this fucking planet. And you have done tons of shows outside of high school. I know we just talked about a little bit about high school. But when it comes to doing shows outside, what are your top 5? Or you don't have to do 5. You could do top 3, however many you want. Favorite theatrical experiences that you have had on stage?
I'm probably gonna have to go with last 5 years.
Is that
when we
number
did
5, like the bottom?
You said top 3.
Okay, so
At least I'm pretty sure that's what
I said you could do any
anyway,
amount.
Doesn't matter. I'll pick my favorites.
Your favorites.
Last 5 years, because I always wanted to play Kathy. I love those songs. I love Jason Robert Brown.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure that's the only Jason Robert Brown show I've ever gotten to do.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But yeah, I love that experience. I love the character. I love the songs. So, and I also am not sure I have the vocal strength to do it anymore.
Oh, I bet you could.
Or the vocal range, because my voice used to be a bit higher back then too,
True.
and you kind of need that for Kathy.
I've heard you sing some of the songs recently. I bet you still could. We should do a sing
It
through
would
night.
take a lot more work to get my voice in shape than it did when I was 19.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, so well, I mean, I'm sure we could get it back there. So last 5 years, one of your favorites. What's another one?
Into the Woods,
Into
for
the
sure.
Into the damn woods.
Baker's Wife.
Yep.
Iconic role, and I got to do it with my fucking husband, so
Yep.
didn't get much better than that.
It was funny. We had Drew Street on one of the last episodes. He played Jack when we did Into the Woods, as you know, and he told a story about one of the performances where he was upstairs, probably pooping, but he said he was upstairs warming up, but I think he was pooping, and it was a cue that he had with us on stage with where he brings Milky White out, and he missed the cue, and me and you and Milky White had to kind of like dink around for a minute until he realized that he was supposed to be on stage.
You know, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, he brought that
you
up.
just brought it up. Thank you.
Yeah, he brought that up. A very scary moment for us. So you said the last 5 years, Into the Woods. We did Into the Woods, what, back 2017, 18? I think it was 18.
That was 2018.
18, yeah, 2018. What else?
Like I said, I keep track of my life based on what show I was doing that year.
That makes
Literally.
sense.
That's how I gauge time. And you know what? It's helpful. I'll take it.
It is helpful. It is very helpful.
Shoot. What's one of my other favorites?
Because not a lot of people know your full theatrical background, which is criminal. I think they should.
Again, don't care. Nobody cares.
Well, now you better. Now you all better care. All right, so last 5 years, Into the Woods. You've done a shit ton more. What else?
I know. I'm trying to think of my favorites. I think, funny enough, even though I didn't know the show at all, with the exception of I knew the music, but I didn't know the show, Nice Work If You Could Get It was a lot of fun.
That's a Gershwin musical with a bunch of Gershwin songs.
I knew all the music, but how they were going to weave it together in a storyline, that's the part I wasn't familiar with, and I wasn't familiar with what type of character my character was.
I was so proud of you when you got that role because I'm like, oh my God.
It was so much fun. I got to be like a highfalutin, like, bitch.
And it was one of your first big comedy
bitch.
roles too. It was one of your first big comedy moments because you hadn't really had, besides Alone and She Loves Me.
I was gonna say I think that's the reason I got the role in the first place, is because I had played Alona, and she's kind of a ditzy comedic relief, and so is Eileen Evergreen. So
well, the Eileen Evergreen character, one of my favorite parts that you had in that show, and I remember it vividly because the audience would lose their fucking minds, is you had this like dance thing that you would have to do on certain exits where you would like gesticulate and move your arms around and do some weird fucking movement, and I and the audience would lose our shit because I saw the show probably 5 times. When you were in it, and you would it was so hilarious. I gotta find the video somewhere and just make it a GIF of you just like doing this weird, like you're on a cruise ship that's sinking. It was insane. I loved it. You were hilarious.
No idea what you're talking about.
There was I remember it so fucking vividly, is certain exits you would have as that character, you would have to do this like weird interpretive dance as you would leave. Do you not remember any of this?
Not really, no.
Wow. All right. I think literally the hard drive that has that show on it is in my closet, so I will
We
find
might
it.
have to watch that because I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
Because I remember I'm like, this is Taryn's first big like super funny comedy role, because this was a role that the woman who played it on Broadway won a Tony for. It was the only role that won a Tony for that show that year was Jennifer Laura Thompson, I believe is what her name was, and she played the role on Broadway. And it was just anyway, it was hilarious. I was very proud of you because that was
I just
actually
loved my big production number.
Oh yeah, Delicious with the girls in the bubbles. You had this giant
so
bubble
much
bra,
fun.
which is
and
probably
there were
still.
a few sight gags in that one that were fun to do.
What has been your most challenging theatrical role? Not necessarily your favorite, but what has been the most challenging one that you've ever done? I probably know the answer to this, but do you want me to guess?
I honestly am at a loss for words, so I'm curious to see what you say and see if I agree.
I think that probably your most challenging role, because of how the rehearsal process was for you, was Once in a Lifetime, because it was one of the first shows where you didn't have singing to fall on.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, that was a lot of script.
That was a very old, very kind of dated script, but you were great in it, and it was another kind of comedy-ish role, but it was more like the staunch, more like you personally. Mm-hmm. It was very much a you-style character.
That's why I was asked to play it.
Right. You were asked to play it under false pretenses.
Essentially this character.
You were conned into playing that role by thinking it was one of the. We were told that it was going to be a small role, only to find out you were going to be the lead, and I was going to be one of the small roles.
Liar.
I played cameraman.
That man again.
I played cameraman number 3, and you played the damn lead. But anyway, no, you were great on that.
I was told it was like a secondary character, like a walk-on thing.
You had the final
She's
bow.
in every fucking scene.
You had the final bow of the show.
Lying bastard.
So, do you think that was your most challenging one, or does another one pop up that you think might be?
No, that was definitely up there.
Yeah.
At least top 3.
Because you are what people don't maybe necessarily know is you are a very good memorizer. You're a way better memorizer than me.
Correction, used to be.
Yeah, well.
I don't know so much about that anymore. But
drugs and alcohol can do that to a person.
Oh, I think it's more age.
Age, you're not even that old, man.
And age and a lack of
giving a shit. Lack of giving a shit.
No, that's not it. No, lack of practice. Yeah. I'm out of practice. Yeah,
and you haven't. Nice Work If You Can Get It was one of your last full musicals, other than Once Upon a Mattress, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although the memorization for Once Upon a Mattress was not as painful as I thought it was going to be. So it's one of those things like once you get the gears turning, muscle memory kicks in and you start to do better than you thought you would. But it took a minute.
Yeah, I will tell you, like, I am personally scared shitless a bit because the last role that I had to memorize was fucking easy. It was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. And even then,
there were hardly any lines in that, to be honest.
I mean, I had a decent amount, but it was like even then I was struggling a bit to memorize them.
No, did you forget about They're Playing Our Song?
Well, They're Playing Our Song was just me and you.
That was challenging as hell.
It was.
Because not only did we have songs to memorize and choreography and all that stuff and quick changes out the asshole, but we had a 89-page Neil Simon script to memorize
just
on that
between
one.
The two of us.
And he is a wordy motherfucker.
And I've done, God, how many Neil Simons now? 3? I've done 3 Neil Simons.
At least 3.
1 musical and 2 plays. And like, it is crazy to me to memorize. And now I'm about to go into rehearsals at the end of this month, actually, for another show. Granted, it's a show we've already done before, so I kind of already know it. But like, I'm going to have to really dust off the memorization chops, and I have to start memorizing my scripts for the Ybor City Ghost Tours, because I'm going to be one of the new hosts of the Ybor City Ghost Tour. If you ever come to Tampa and you want to take a ghost tour, come let me know. I will be one of the hosts there. So I'm having to like memorize that. You are a much better memorizer than me, and you like to tell me that often, especially if we're in a show together.
Because you paraphrase like a motherfucker, okay?
I know.
You've got to stop doing that, man.
I make my own shit up. All right, so...
What'd you say?
I said I make my own shit up. I make it work.
I mean, yeah, what comes out of your mouth makes sense, but it's not what's written on the page.
It's not what the author intended.
No, not at all.
All right, and for the last few minutes of the show, because this is a show that's very heavily steeped in, obviously, music performing. We've also had a lot of burlesque people on the show, and some people, maybe their first exposure to you, people who listen to the show, their first exposure to you was probably as a part of the burlesque show band. And the fact that you've been the lead singer of the Burly Bandits since we started it, and that you've been a part of all these shows.
Before it was even called the Burly Bandits.
Before it was even the Bandits.
Does anybody else know what one of the workshop names was?
Actually, one of the I do. Nathan and the Players.
No.
I gotta give
Nathan
Maven
and the Milk Sweats.
Nathan and the
baby.
Milk Sweats. We're not.
That should have been the name.
Yeah.
Just saying.
We would have been wildly successful had we called ourselves Nathan and the fucking Milk Sweats.
I mean, Burly Bandits is more to the point, but Nathan and the Milk Sweats, you're like, I gotta know what the fuck's up with this band.
I gotta go see this.
That
shit.
sounds wild.
And then they leave and they're like, yeah, just like the name.
And
this
like,
was
they
shit.
did not play the type of music I thought they were going to play.
Yes, just songs about daring.
We thought it was gonna be some weird folk band, and they're out here playing show tunes.
Show tunes and
Weird.
Stairway to Heaven.
I don't know what's happening.
So
a lot of PMJ. I don't get it.
what has been your favorite, or like what's been an iconic moment in your experience and in career as a burlesque singer? What has been like a career highlight for you when it comes to being in that environment, being in that life?
Man.
Because there's a few moments that I've seen you on stage.
Do you think there are highlights? Because I don't know. Every single one of those shows was a huge high to be a part of. So like to say that there was a favorite moment, I don't know that that's true. Even
though I know you have your thoughts and reservations on your final performance you just did in the circus.
Because I fucking choked on the lyrics.
I will say though,
that is the worst feeling in the world to do in front of an audience that large.
I think one thing that was, I mean, you had people, because they lost their shit when you were done singing that song, to the point where one of my coworkers,
they were just happy it was over.
No,
they're like, finally shut this bitch up.
I can tell you, I know, and you know this too, you know the difference when an audience is giving you a pity applause and when the audience actually is super fucking happy.
Sure.
After you sang that song, it was not pity applause, it was Jesus Christ, this woman can sing. And what's interesting, like, I have friends and people that have come to see shows because they just wanted to see me, and that maybe I was talking to, or just random internet friends that wanted to actually come meet me. And 9 times out of 10, the very first thing that they say to me before they even tell me that I was good was, my God, your wife can sing. I've literally gotten people in the middle of shows, no actual joke here, in the middle of shows during intermission, text me and go, I didn't know your wife could sing like that. Like, literally, that's what I will get. And I'm like, I agree. I'm glad you enjoy her a ton. And yes, she absolutely can. I think it's interesting when people know you and just maybe, I mean, I hate to say this, but just know you as my wife. And then you jump out there and you sing. And then I'm like, see, motherfuckers, this is what I've been trying to tell you for years. This is why I put this bitch in everything, because she's goddamn good.
Whoa, bitch,
sorry,
you're shouting.
I'm going crazy. But no, that's like that's a misconception for me, funny enough, is that we've over the years been criticized that because of who I am as a performer, producer, director, that I've put you in a lot of stuff. And
I'm sure people assume nepotism all the time.
Yeah, which you know what, in this case, let them fucking assume it. I will put you. I've put. But Debbie,
at the same time, they're under the false impression that you run the entire fucking show. That's the thing. He's the face, folks. That doesn't mean he's the one calling the shots.
That is true.
I don't like to be in positions of authority like that because I know I rub people the wrong way, and they'd be like, "Who's this bitch? And why should we listen to her?" Nathan's much better with people, so he plays that role because he knows he excels in it, and I don't.
And you just make sure everything else happens accordingly.
But, like, half the shit we decide, I'm the one saying yay or nay.
Yep, which is good. You, in a good, successful relationship, not only in life but in business, it's good to have the two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
If you have two people that are...
You have the ambition and the ideas, and I have...
The editing.
The editing mind.
Yes, which I appreciate a ton. All right, so I think this has been a good, and we're right up against the clock now, I think this has been a good episode for us to kind of introduce who we are as a couple, who we portray ourselves at publicly and privately. And I appreciate you being here. I mean, I know you've literally been here for every other episode because you've either been in the other room listening.
I've heard bits and pieces of most of your others, and I sat in on the first one.
That's right. You were here with Poppy. So this has been the 10th episode of the show. I hope that people will kind of listen to this and kind of understand where we are as a couple, who we are, and the kind of beliefs that we have. And I'm sure we'll have other episodes where we have you come on and talk more. But if people want to follow you, how can they do that?
Oh, you expect me to have any of that information ready?
I can just give it. So if you want to follow Taryn, you can follow her at BruiseandBeAnthony on Instagram. I've been begging her, folks, for years to change that fucking name.
Why?
It's offensive.
Hilarious. No, how is it offensive?
offensive in 2024. Okay. No, follow her at Bruce and B. Anthony. You can find her on all of my platforms. If you just look at any photo of me with a bespectacled cat eye glasses wearing woman with red crazy hair, that is Taryn. You can follow her, and she will probably keep you in her inbox for 6 weeks until she actually checks it. So if you want to follow her.
Well, to be fair, if I don't know you, I'm just going to ignore it or delete it.
So perfect for a podcast guest who might
I'm
just get some
not
new...
plugging anything.
That is true.
I'm here because you asked me to be.
That is true. I did ask you to be.
God, this guy thinks... Again, I just talked for how long about how I'm not self-promoting?
Yeah, that's true.
How I'm not that bitch, and he's like, why aren't you that bitch? Because I just literally told you I'm not that bitch.
So if you want to follow Taryn online, don't.
My TikTok account literally says here for other people's content. So if you're looking for a laugh, keep looking.
There is the TikTok, however, of you twerking to inappropriate Christmas songs at Busch Gardens, and I think that is the best way to go. I think that's what you should be known for.
Honestly, I want to do more of those. Can you help me? Because
I got you.
She does not know how to edit a TikTok video.
I will make that happen for you, especially because
this is all I ask for in life. Is
we're
that
going
someone
viral.
Help me edit my stupid twerking videos.
We're actually going viral as we speak. Let me actually tell you.
Not.
So I posted that TikTok of us doing the little couples challenge. Oh my God, my TikTok's on fire right now.
By fire, he means there's 12 views.
No, let's see. This video in this last hour. Oh my God, we just went 3,500 more views in the last hour.
I mean, that's pretty steady.
Reasonably, 625 likes on TikTok. We got comments out the ass of people saying, "How dare does Nathan have the audacity to laugh?"
Yeah, apparently they're very shocked at Nathan's audacity. That's the most.
Here, I'm gonna read. Okay. To lead us out of this episode. By the way, real quick, just before I read these funny TikTok comments, once again, Taryn, thank you for being here on the show. Not like you had much of a choice, but
You're
thank
welcome,
you for being
honey.
here.
Yeah, thank you for chaining me down to the floor so I couldn't leave.
And giving you a glass of wine and having you speak to strangers.
That's the part that I was comfortable with.
Speaking of which, if you want a good glass of wine and you're in the Clearwater, Florida area, head on over to Aspirations Winery. We will soon be an affiliate for Aspirations Winery where you can order their wine all over the country and using a promo code that I will be able to give you soon. So just stay tuned for that. AdamandEve.com. Head over to AdamandEve.com and use promo code Burley, B-U-R-L-Y at checkout. That is my name. That is the name of the show. Burley, B-U-R-L-Y at checkout.
In case you weren't aware.
In case you weren't aware
of the show you're listening to right now.
Or you accidentally stumbled on this show because you were listening to something else and this was your next suggested show. But anyway, go to adamandeve.com if you want to buy some awesome, sexy things for you, your partner, your grandmother, whoever you want to buy stuff for. Your partner's partner, your poly, your meta. If you want to if you want to buy a great gift for your meta, you can go on adamandeve.com and find your favorite sexual things. And if you use promo code Burley, you get 50% off most items there. You'll get 10 free gifts, free shipping. We've done it a bunch. We've bought tons of stuff on adamandeve.com with our codes over the years. If you buy something with promo code Burley, you will help support the show. I do get a portion of everything that is purchased on the website using that promo code. So the more you spend, the more I can afford better equipment. I can afford better guests. Nothing against you, Taryn, but I can absolutely bring in new kidding.
Wow. Did you hear that just now?
I will tell you, you're probably the most expensive guest I've ever had on the show.
I think I peaked the audio like 1,000
You did.
times.
Look at that thing. That just blew everybody. Everybody in their cars listening right now just turned the volume down a little bit when you just blew up.
So sorry about that, guys.
And sorry about her inconsistent audio. The bitch has been taking her mic and kind of whipping it around like a, I don't even know, like a snake.
I have not.
You've been fine. You've been doing podcasting for years. Anyway, adamandeve.com, use promo code Burley, and you'll get 50% off, free shipping, free gifts, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to leave you guys. This is the bonus content. So like I said, the TikTok that we just put out was the us painting each other, and we're getting ridiculous amounts of views right now on the TikTok. And let's see, so you at the very end of the video, you said something along the lines of, I think this is grounds for divorce. You would take this image and they'd be like, yeah, we understand what you're doing. And one woman just wrote, if I was your judge, he'd owe you $1 million a month in alimony for emotional damage. And the first thing I thought of is that old TikTok, emotional damage. And that's
Yes.
the first thing that came to mind. The top comment is straight to jail with him. One person said that I nailed the background color, which is nice. Ma'am, he did you dirty. I literally said out loud, oh no, oh he did it dirty. One woman said, I could take this to your quote. I could take this to court and they'd be like, yeah, we get it. The audacity that he had to criticize yours. It's just people just calling me out. I said, one person said the pic of her looks like a South Park character. Funny enough, I kept saying that I was painting and I'm like, you look like.
Yeah, you did actually.
You look like you killed
you
Kenny.
Did mention that.
Some person just says, why do all the men draw teeth with gaps? And I'm like,
great question. You let me know when you figure that one out.
And one person wrote here, the absolute savagery, definitely grounds for divorce.
Absolute savagery.
So if you somehow stumbled upon this show because of this TikTok, and I maybe read your comment out, let me know. The only other thing people know me from on TikTok is the bullshit fucking
It was a good one, though.
no parking
And I
signs.
assisted with,
You did.
At least 2 of your most viral ones, I assisted.
Yes, you did.
You are so
You are a very funny person. You are a very funny person. All right, we gotta
Please
go.
spread that
The show
rumor.
is already running long. I love you very much. Thank you for being
love you
here
very much.
and talking with me about things and being super transparent. And hopefully this is a good way for our friends to be like, you know what? Maybe Taryn isn't such a rotten bitch that I think she is.
Oh, no, I absolutely am.
Yeah, she absolutely is a
I
rotten bitch.
just am capable of feeling things and having sympathy, and I will be your friend. I will be your most loyal friend if you just let me be me.
There it is. And I think our loyal friends absolutely understand that. So that's good. All right, folks, this has been the Burley Nathan Show. Make sure to follow me on all the podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music. I think that's the same thing as iTunes. I don't know. I am such a boomer. There's certain things.
It's his first day, folks.
People have been
Give
telling
him
me
a
to get the podcast on YouTube. I guess I need to get that there as well.
Do you need to?
If it starts
You
making me
have
money, I
to.
will. I will. It'll be easy. But anyway, just follow us anywhere you listen to podcasts right now on the actual auditory way. You absolutely can. And leave a review. Like I said, if you absolutely hate the show, leave me a 5-star review, but then write the shittiest review about me so it pops up at the top. That's a little hack.
Honestly, I'd be very interested to read that.
Like, Nathan
I wanna
sucks dick and
hear
his
people-
wife's terrible. Just write us
I
a
agree.
write us
No
a bad
arguments.
review. Yeah, no arguments. Yeah, no lies detected.
No lies detected.
So follow us on follow the podcast online, The Burley Nathan Show. Leave a review, subscribe so you can be notified anytime a new show comes. You can hit that bell icon and subscribe.
Smash that like button.
That like button.
God, do not make me a promise right now. Do
What?
not become the smash that like button guy, please.
I won't.
I beg of you.
I enjoy sleeping at night.
Okay.
All right, folks. Once again, this has been the Burley Nathan Show. This has been Taryn here with me. It's been a barrel of laughs,
Something.
barrel of alcohol tonight.
No, it hasn't.
All right.
Maybe a little.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Episode 11 will be coming up soon. I'm not going to be teasing any of the guests. So what I'm going to do going forward is I'm actually not going to tease the guest until the show launches. For the next 10 episodes, it will be mystery guests every single time.
Oh.
So that's going to be interesting. But I've got some incredible people coming up. I've got some comedians. I have some dancers, some singers, some actors, and some people who are not even in the entertainment industry at all.
What?
I know.
Unheard
We're going to start
of.
digging because part of the show is going to be lifestyle. So anyway, that was my
Noted.
very long outro. Thank you all so much for listening. It's been a pleasure to be here with you for these last 10 episodes. Taryn, thank you for being here on the landmark 10th episode. We will see you guys next time on The Burley Nathan Show.
Bye.